So, apparently, at St. Lucia, their form of detention for students who break rules is making them wear prison uniforms and locking them up in a prison cell and not letting them out until they think the student has learned their lesson. That gets me horrified to think, how in the hell St. Lucia does expulsions from their school? Like, do they just execute the students that they're expelling? Do they execute them? You get too low grades or you break too many rules, you get sent to the guillotine? Is that how St. Lucia works? Alright, before I begin my full review of this episode, I'm gonna go ahead and announce that every Friday for the next 5 weeks, well, 4 weeks now, but you know what I mean, for the next 4 weeks, I'll be talking about the remainder episodes of Higurashi When They Cry GOU. That's right, I'm still gonna be doing weekly reviews, even though all the episodes are out. I'm still gonna release this weekly. I have to say, this episode was probably one of the most dark episodes in my opinion. Yeah, I'm saying this now. This is actually a really dark episode when you truly think about it, because, yes, you're seeing a lot of nostalgic moments of Satsuko and the club, you know, having fun after a few years of being apart. But just the whole time, I just felt this, you know, gloom to the entire, you know, club activity scene. Like, okay, the beginning of the episode doesn't help the gloom of the club activity scene, because the beginning of the episode was just showing the tragedy that is forming between Satsuko and Rika. Well, the tragedy was already forming, but the tragedy, you know, is just getting more and more sad. Like, their divide is just fully shown in the frame I'm showing right now, the spotlights between the two of them after the chandelier incident. For which, the chandelier incident, I'm gonna say this now, holy crap. When you think about it, all of Satsuko's traps from when she was in elementary school, none of them really hurt anyone. So, when she tried doing the traps again, as a high schooler, she has finally come to realize that sometimes traps can have negative repercussions and can hurt someone. Just like she saw when she tried pulling a trap at St. Lucia. I have to say, this episode definitely does not help the gloom of the club activity scene. Like, the club activity scene, it is a wholesome scene where you see, you know, everyone being nostalgic again by playing a club activity like they used to when they were younger. But the whole time, you know that this is just, you know, a quick moment of nostalgia for these characters, because once the games are over, they're back to their adult lives. And I don't know what's going on with Keiichi, Rena, and Mion, but for Satsuko and Rika, their older lives are not that fun as they were, you know, when they were kids. Well, okay, let's just ignore all the, you know, stuff with Rika for this comment. Yeah, I don't think anyone in Higurashi's ever had a good time. That, you know, the good time lasted for more than, like, you know, a week. But the whole time, you know that this is just temporary. And that's why I think this episode's, like, one of the darkest by far. Though, of course, I still need to see the rest of the 4 episodes, which I'm probably gonna be making the similar comments for the rest of these 4 episodes, but in my honest opinion, when you think about this episode slightly on the lines of, you know, the psychology of the characters, technically, this is one of the more tragic episodes for all the characters, because this is the one episode where we see a brief moment of them reliving their happiest days, aka playing together within club activities. And as soon as the club activities are over, they're back to their adult realities. And adult reality hits Satsuko like a truck. Their school is getting shut down, and the house she lived with Rika is gone. Her childhood is gone. The brief moment she spent with her friends was only a brief moment. Or is it over? Because at the end of the episode, she goes to the shrine, where she has an encounter with a character that might be a spoiler for Umineko, but is most likely not. I cannot tell. I read every comment, so I cannot tell if she's a spoiler for a Umineko character, or if she's just a character that appears in Higurashi that looks very similar to a Umineko character. Honestly, I'm not even gonna touch it. So yes, that was episode 20 of Higurashi When They Cry GOU. And in my opinion, this is the darkest episode. There was no brutal murders, nor there was, any psychological torture done to the characters. Well, okay, there was psychological torture, but at the same time, I still think the themes of this episode are probably some of the most depressing themes of any of the past 19 episodes. Now, I still need to watch the remainder 4 episodes to, fully decide my whole thoughts on what might be the most, depressing episode of this entire season. But in my opinion, from what I've seen so far, episode 20 is likely going to be the darkest episode of Higurashi GOU, theme-wise. The depressing theme of nostalgia is only good for a short time. But once that time's over, you're back to where you were.
Okay.